It's Oklahoma Archery. Everything archery based out of Oklahoma for Oklahomans. Let's get it started. Hey, welcome everybody. We got another Oklahoma Archery podcast. We're going to recap with our buddy
Nickel Neal.
Neal.
Made a sighting of Nickel Neal this weekend. But other than that, it was a pretty phenomenal weekend.
Yeah, let's roll over and let's just tell everyone what was a phenomenal weekend, buddy.
Oh, we had our 2024 Oklahoma ASA State Championship at the Oklahoma City Gun Club. It was one for the ages.
Yeah, I tell you what, I was talking about it to the wife, and I was going to try to make it up there. Well, one thing led to another. I got my list done. She handed me her list, and the only thing I didn't get done on my list was I didn't get the axle bearings greased on my trailer, so I didn't make it up. But it sounds like that you had one heck of a great turnout.
We did. We really did. It was new state record as far back as nationals can find records on. I think the previous high was like 167, 168, and we put the numbers out on the group. So I think the official number, if you count all I had 9 fun shooters and 5 pros turned in cards. So our pros at the state championships are technically fun rounds, but we had 5 pros come out, and I want to thank every one of them. That means a lot. And we had another one on site that was helping the host club. So we had a really good representation of pros and 9 fun rounds. So about 15 total. Number was 222 for the weekend.
Wow. Great job, man. That is awesome. How did the gun club take it? Was it pretty flow efficient?
It was. We had amazing facilities. We used a big building up top for registration and set up all our raffle prizes and Hall of Fame nominations, and had a few vendors and all our door prizes and everything. So we had a great facility. Jeff and Gail Steele from Arrowhead came out and cooked for us both days. Had their families and kids there. Had a bunch of their kids on the podium too. So I want to thank all the Arrowhead people for sure. The theme of this episode, I'm gonna randomly stop and thank people along the way, because I didn't get enough chances to do it. So this one might be a little long. We might have a guest or two pop in later. Do some other special giveaways we wanted to talk about, but it was fantastic. We ran a chronograph. The rain boogered out about 5 to 6 targets in on day 1 and didn't touch us day 2. Temperatures in the mid to high 80s at the most. Had water on the range, flowed pretty good. Day 2, we had 102 day 1, and I think 118, 120 on day 2. So we were almost maxed out. We knew we were gonna grow this going into this year. We just didn't know how much. And about the point where you get over 200 on a pre-registered, you have to start considering setting 230 target ranges. The gun club's got the space for it. I think they've just about got the targets to do it. But I was like, guys, I think we can get by this year with only 30 targets. And everybody about made a liar out of me. We had groups of 5, groups of 4, pretty consistently on every stake. Had a few. I mean, it was a 6-hour round. 30 targets at a big turnout is not a 3 or 4 hour. You're looking at 5, 6, 7's a little egregious for anybody out there that's never seen a big ASA shoot. It's a full day. You're getting done at 1 or 2 in the afternoon. So we made good time, and the weather was good. So it was a really good weekend.
Do you have 1 shotgun a day or 2 shotguns a day?
One shotgun start a day. Got them all in there. Everybody was pretty much found their stake for the most part. It was a lot of fun. We had really good help. Thank you to everybody. Brent and Chris Edwards ran our chronograph inspection station, and we just rolled them all through it best we could. I think we started right about 9:30 each day. So we got the cards done. We got the announcements done, tried to do all the thanking, thank the ranges, thank our shops, thank our sponsors, everybody that made this year happen.
Yeah, you guys had a ton of great stuff to give away. And all year long, I've been listening to all the ranges, and you've got a really good group of new ranges that came in. Um, have you had a few of the ranges that hit you this year that you're like, we just don't have an open date or anything like that?
Yeah,
And
I've got. I think we had been putting paperwork together all year. I've planned the entirety of 2025 in the last 12 hours. So this is day one. I will not take a day off. I can't do it. We're doing too much. We had 8 ranges the year before, and we had 16 this year. So we doubled the amount of ranges, and some of them took 2 qualifiers. I think we went from 7 last year to 17 this year on the numbers.
qualifiers,
7 to 17
nice.
qualifiers, 8 clubs previously to 16. And if I counted the list right that I've got right here, clubs that are out there that did not have a qualifier this year that are on my radar, some old, some new. I've got, should I count them or do you want me to list them? Are we allowed to put a
Heck,
hit list? Can we put a hit list out?
hey, it's our show, dude. We'll put a hit list out.
This is still America. We believe in the freedom of speech on the Oklahoma Archery
That's
podcast.
right.
All right. People that are looking at maybe trying to have ranges. I got Pawnee. Pawnee's on board. They just brought targets. That's Jamie Buchanan. Shout out on them. August 31st is their or the first August 31st and August 1st, I think, is their big fundraiser for Team USA going to Slovenia. Shout those people out. Do not forget about that. Still got our buddy Ty Dameron with the range out there. He's busy building that business up. So we know Ty's going to come back one day. Vaughn McLean from Wellston, Oklahoma. You know him, you love him. If he ever gets retired, you know he's still got targets and back in. Good buddies Keith and Bobby Catcher down there in Wilburton. Shout out to the catchers. We put 222 up at state. You know I'm going to call you again. Woodward is in. Woodward's got targets in a range. Duncan, possibly. We're going to reach out to everybody in Duncan. They do the backwoods down there. Possibly one on Altus on a base somewhere. My buddy that does our film work for us kind of let me on to a possibility. Old state director Walter Smith and down in Macomb, he was going to be in this year, but ended up having shoulder surgery. We're going to call Walter again. Sulphur's got one. The Dearmans have hosted down there as well. Charles Jones put me on that one. Shout out to Charles Jones. Thank you for all the encouragement this year. He was, I think, 4 or 5 of our banner sponsors and out of Texas down there. And it's not Paris, but his town's right next to Paris. I forget the name of it. It's Broadhead Barn down there. Couldn't have done this year without him. He was one of the biggest contributors to the success of the Oklahoma ASA, and he's down there south of the Red River. So shout out to my good buddy. He put me on the Sulphur range. That he'd suggested, put me in contact with that guy, and that he's going to try to come to our September 14th meeting. No Water, Big Creek 3D. I've heard from them a few times. We're going to twist their arm one more time. He never says no, but he never says yes either. So he's kind of wishy-washy on it. Guyman, Tell Dixon. Somebody knows Tell Dixon, and he's still out there. I'm gonna hear from Tell Dixon on. He's got the college way out there at Oklahoma Panhandle State, some kind of university. Hey, I like that view. I've got a face for radio, so we're gonna try to get out there to Guyman. Neosho always has a membership. I don't know if they have targets or they shoot, but we'll do them. Hoping to do something a little bit more. I know we did a lot with shot. Side note: shout out to Tim, Greg, Brian, Kevin, all the guys that shot. I'm working with them, trying to see when they can schedule their dates around what, and they're working hard and I'm working hard. And one of the best parts of this year was the 2 new shot ranges, the Odd Vein Out and the Rogue Archer. So those guys are awesome. I'm looking forward to building this thing up with them. They're trying to include us in all their plans. We want to do the same. If I could give any kind of public service announcement for the 2025, is come check these shot events out. We're going to try to put a qualifier at them, totally separate ranges, totally basically independent of all the things. But we want to be able to share what we're doing at the ASA with the bow hunters that'll come to these fun shoots. That's going to be a big part of what we're trying to do in 2025 is getting in front of new people. So keep your eyes out for the shot calendar when that drops. So we got to give away 3 shot passes at the state tournament. I think it's 2 kids and an adult. So you always want to see the kids take some stuff home. So shout out. Thank you to Jeremy and all the guys again. We've got our buddy from DNA Custom Bowstrings in Ardmore, Jason Bowling, is going to try to get him some targets. He used to run a range over on the Arkansas line, and then he moved and shut the range down. So he's going to have us our second range in Ardmore, along with G2, so we can double up on those weekends. That'd be a lot. Drive once, shoot twice kind of thing. Ponca Bowman do a lot of recurve stuff, but Jacob Welch is a pastor up there. That's Frank Welch's boy. Shout out Frank Welch, won state and shooter of the year in his cutoff overalls. If y'all have ever met Frank Welch, he's the most fun out there. We're going to call Ponca. We're going to call our buddies at Wagner. I don't think their club bylaws allow them to shoot for money, but always want to call a favor in with Roger if I can. I don't even know what that says. Quartz Mountain, he has an old golf course that got basically no maintenance to it. And a buddy of mine out of Altus at Summit Law Group was telling me, he's like, that'd probably be a good pre-archery range. It's just an old abandoned golf course. I'm like, yeah, you got some straightaways, you got some trees. Probably wouldn't put anything in a sand trap. But I think that's about 18 new ranges that we're going to try to contact and put on our 17. So that'd be 35. That's
yeah. If you get just half of those, that'd be another huge jump.
Yeah. Well, like Vaughn's still working, but he's still got the targets in the same lease that he used to have stayed out there all the time. So we could probably go ahead and throw this out there. I just got through counting the comment cards, and one of the biggest things was please bring state back to the Oklahoma City Gun Club. So we could probably go ahead and let the cat out of the bag to everybody. Rob, Brad, Mary, and Aaron have agreed graciously to have state in 2025 again. So we're going to plan on going probably back to the gun club, barring any unforeseen circumstances around their availability. So it worked so good, we're going to run it back.
Well, it's centrally located. Is it an advantage? No, not for any one person. I mean, there's hotels 10 minutes up the road. There's food everywhere you go.
Yeah.
And a great facility, man. I think that's a win-win. And, so yeah, cool, man. I think that's great. Good job.
We've only got, because that Brad and Tara Timberman, another huge shout out. Thank you all for coming up and helping me peer group last minute in record speed. Could not have done this weekend without them. I had questions on equipment setups at Equipment Check, and having another state director and the regional director show up at your tournament, and Brad Bollinger from Kansas, the state director, came down. I mean, we had a packed. Short side notice: everybody in the whole region's name's Brad. Missouri's director's Brad. Kansas is Brad. Timmerman used to be Brad in Texas, but then Tara took over when Brad took the regional job. So still a Timmerman, still a Brad. I'm the only one that's not Brad. That's hilarious to me.
Well, you know why you're not? Is because nickel doesn't rhyme with Brad.
Yeah, it had been a few tournaments since I shot a nickel, but I'd gassed out. I actually blanked a target and forgot to set my sight on number 4. Just if you shoot a Wolverine at 40 yards with your needle on 45 and put a poor effort on it, it will go sailing through the woods. So if anybody sees my arrow on target 4, it's green and got a white wrap on it. Let me know. I'd like that Smith Brothers point out of there. Yeah, $3 a pop. I'm cheap. Come on, baby. But yeah, we're gonna start trying to, as soon as we get the dates from nationals at Coleman, hopefully we're gonna start throwing the schedule together. Everybody out there, we're gonna give out dates on our September 14th meeting. If you're there, chime in. We're gonna try to do it on a live stream as well. We'll pencil those in until January 1st. You're gonna have 10 days to submit your paperwork renewals to nationals. You should already have your 10 members, because that's the whole point of the September 14th meeting. We're going to have you all preset with your 10 members coming out of that annual meeting / banquet. You're going to have 10 days till January 10th to get good with nationals, or your dates are going to be open for anybody that we have. You get them in between January 1st and January 10th. We're going to print your scorecards for you this year. We're going to have them color coordinated, so your dates will get locked in and you'll get your scorecards covered for your qualifier.
Oh, that's nice.
We're going to try and incentivize them to get it in and get it done quick, because I can't be dealing with it during the year. So the timely will be rewarded.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to help them all out. They're helping you out, help them out, all the little things. So all your giveaways, what happened with your Genesis bow shoot?
we let the kids end up running it. I had one kid's giving tickets, one kid taking money, and one kid's working the arrow spinning pulling machine thing. So it was fun. I literally didn't have time to look at it when they came over, and they had a big giant bag of money at the end of it. So we did let's see, where's that? So we just put the buckle order in not too long ago, and I think we spent like $5,300 in buckles. I think we'd ordered 55 of them, so those should be ready for our September banquet. And got those customized with your state championships, got your name, your score, the 12 rings, and I'm going to try to see if she can put the venue on there as well. I'm really hoping she can fit 4 lines on our buckles. Shooter of the year buckles, I think we'd had 6 or 7 kids classes qualify. All of those ended up electing in to buy the custom buckles as well. So we had 17 shooter of the year buckles and 38 state championship buckles, I think.
Nice.
is how it shook out. So just it was an absolute blessing. We had some money left over at the end of it. So we got a head start on next year, and we'll be in the green financially. I don't work QuickBooks. I'm not a licensed CPA. I'm pretty bad with money. So we pulled it off. We got the plaques covered. We got the videographer paid. We got the buckles ordered. Should have been a good one.
Cool. So you got your meeting in September. I know traditionally everybody has their qualifiers next year and getting ready for state. Have you ever swum, paddled, kicked, dog paddled, whatever you want to call it, upstream, and did one, maybe two after the state championship this year? I mean,
they pretty much shut it down because every state championship has to be done before Coleman. Coleman is the finale. It's the classic. So that's all the logical conclusion to it. There's all kinds of, club shoots late in the year. I think August is pretty much booked up and half of September too. So
well, that's what I was getting at, but have it as a qualifier for next year. Go ahead and get started. Let's get this. Let's get some teams going for next year.
There's nothing that says you can't. I counted
you
the days up.
I need to recharge.
No, I need to practice shooting my bow is what I need to not shoot 27 down at state. I blanked the target. Yeah, that's 10. What about the other 17? That's 9 8s and a nickel is what that was. And a miss is what 27 down is mathematically. So yeah, no, I would love to shoot my bow some more. We're not even going to talk about what's going to happen to that thing right now. That's a whole different episode. Yeah, we could. Some states do have early season pre-2023.
I didn't know.
Yeah, no, it would have to cycle into the next one because everything's done after that. We'll just start shooter of the year next year. But how hard is it going to be to get people out during September, October, either the heat or deer season or hunting or elk season?
Well, yeah, I get it. That makes sense. But I was just throwing it out there. I didn't know.
Well, I did the math on 17 qualifiers and 2 days of state is 36 days. I missed one of them for indoor sectionals. I missed one on the second day of the first Trosper because I got sick. I missed the first day of the second Trosper to hit Archers for Christ's qualifier. And the weekend we double booked, I missed one of each. I missed 5 days of qualifiers in state. I hit 31 out of 36. So I spent 1 month of this year at qualifiers trying to get good at shooting my bow, and that just did not. I was not trying to run the ASA. I was not trying to make it at what happened. I had no idea what was happening with the momentum. I was just trying to practice archery, and I accidentally. It is what it is, So it turned into something good, even if the scorecard didn't look that way for me.
That's right. Look at what you got out of it.
Brad Timmer. Shout out to Brad Timmer. He goes, well, you did better than me my first year. I turned into 264. That's 36 down. That's worse. And I was like, yeah, that does make me feel better. And then he told me a day later, he goes, yeah, but that was judging half of them back then. I'm like, God, you're old. Golly. That was back in the open B, open C, 15 known, 15 unknown. So I was like, yeah, 36 down probably would have been a little tougher. So that was a good ha-ha moment.
So what's your plans this week? You just going to kind of chill and not really do a lot, or are you going to jump right back in both feet?
I'm going to put my back bar mount on the front hole instead of the back. I'm going to run my back bar from the front and play with my weights, go to Arkansas on Saturday. Buying some used targets from my buddy in Louisiana, Johnny Kemp. Shout out to Johnny Kemp. He's a whole lot of fun. And then back Sunday for the state Triple Crown Championship. We'll be hanging out at the gun club, kind of kicking back, relaxing. Might shoot a little bit just to, try to get acclimated to the heat for Coleman. So
Now Coleman's next weekend?
Weekend after this coming one. So that's the classic. And then we're straight back here getting ready for hopefully the broadhead shoot. If I can get my hunting bow out, go to the broadhead shoot at Trosper. I always want to support them. And then I don't know about the skinny arrow stuff. We might try Yankton. We might not. I'm
not going to go up there. I have kind of laid that outdoor bow down, and I'll shoot the state 900. That's it. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. That thing's going to be for sale as soon as that state 900 is up and going.
It's good to have a backup. It really is a blessing when you can have one. It's like, okay, this is going to be for skinny arrows. This one's going to be for indoor, and you can always just pick it up and plug and play. Like it's just I get it. So, it's a good thing.
I may play with another new one next year. I don't know. I just the one that I have, it's a good shooting bow. It just doesn't suit my style of shooting. So, and I've tried it many different ways. So, hey, it's still in good shape. I'll get rid of it. Someone will take it.
We gave away a whole bunch of yours, Dave. Your old do you remember your old Pierce Tour arrows that were like 500 spine with a buck 60 or 80 or 70 in the nose?
Yeah.
Whatever those were. My shout out to my buddy Brad Eulis came out of nowhere this year, hit the last two qualifiers, hit a qualifier in Texas, Kansas State, Oklahoma State. He's a youth coach down south. I don't know if it's Purcell or Wayne, somewhere down there. He had a little girl that came to like Choctaw or Enid and shot like a 73 or an 86, just first time out of the gate. And he got her a bow. I think it was his wife's backup bow. And those Pierce Tour arrows, he stripped them down and refletched them so they could get clearance on the rest. And she shot like a 236 at state coming from a 20 target round to a 30, new bow, brand new arrows. He's like, 500 spine with a bunch in there. That'd probably spine right for a, small kid. Put like tripled her score, something like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so getting good use out of them.
Yeah, that's other than that, they just sat around my house, and probably in 4 or 5 years, the wife would have pulled them out and would use them for steak and tomatoes out or something. So
that's an expensive tomato steak.
Well,
Pierce Tours or Pierce Platte, whatever those gold tips were,
whatever they were. Yeah,
know.
I've got some. Let's see, what are those others? The ACC, the Pro Tours. I got some of the Pro Tours now that's sitting there, and I'm like, well, I might shoot them, I might not shoot. I don't know. Before long, we'll probably end up giving them to somebody too.
Man, yeah, we still got a whole bunch of arrows over here from the shot and the TAC events, and a bunch of our shops have donated a lot of arrows to these kids. We got to get these out of my house. We got to find me some kids that need some arrows. There might be 6 of them. There might be 6 dozen of them. Somebody needs to come grab these.
Well, let's get started right here. Let's get active. How about the first 2 on this particular podcast that comments down in the comments when we post this on Facebook or YouTube, whichever. Get with us, and we'll get you some arrows via that. And it's got to be for kids. How about that? It's got to be for kids.
I was going to say kids, or if they're parents and they're just getting into it and their kid shoots, it doesn't matter. I'd prefer kids, but some of them are 300 spine, some of them are 250 spine. So we'll be as selective as we can to try to give them the best arrow for them to get going with. But that's just a good example of what that program is there for. We've got some of these are brand new, some are fletched, some need to be cut off. They're in all kinds of different states, but we've got somebody that's trying to make some custom points for them, and I'm doing the fletching. And you can ask Dan Gaston, I'm extra good at fletching arrows. Every time he looks at it, he's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it probably drives him crazy.
I'm like, Dan, I always buy the ones you're getting rid of, and I'm shooting the ones you do anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. If you lose too many on the range, just run over and grab some out of his quiver.
No, I cut him off pretty good. He's 29 and a half draw length. Mine are snipped down to all the way to the blade.
Okay. My draw length. We know your draw length. How long is your arrow? Either carbon to carbon or from nock insert to the end of it. How long is your arrow?
I'm not even sure. I'd have to go. I know
Okay.
my 3D ones are cut all the way down to the blade. They're probably 25, 26 something.
Okay. I
Because
was
the
just
draw link's
curious.
set on 27 and 7/8, and you lose an inch and a half for a hamski. So something like
Huh.
that, right?
That's
Or
interesting.
26 inches. I don't know.
I've got mine going down pretty good right now, so that's the reason I was asking.
People draw
Yeah.
that bow back and they're like, "Oh, we're running out of air." I'm like, "Oh, it's gonna go. Don't worry. It's gonna click. It'll
It'll
stop."
hit. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
There's a backstop in there.
yeah. It was. I hope everybody enjoyed our awards ceremony. Sorry for. I had my phone in my pocket and it was. I looked at it to hand it to somebody and it had like 21%, and I'd been running around on it all day long, and I was like, I think I'm gonna last longer than the phone, and I was about cooked at that point. It was funny. People were like, "What do you need?" I'm like, "I need less people to talk to me right now." I had the look of panic on my face for like 4 or 5 hours there as it got going, because we had a pretty good had a pretty good group. I mean, people wise, everybody coming in and cooking, eating burgers. You smell dogs wafting through the air down there. So it was good. I mean, we had so many giveaways that at the end of it, we didn't even get to say thanks, good night, see you next year, everything like that. We just gave door prizes away till they'd get up and go back and pick up their third or fourth door prize, and then
Wow.
they would just hit the door. Like they were literally were tapping out on free stuff. It was awesome. We had a bunch of this Keys Southern Spice that was donated to us, and it was pretty good stuff. It's got some zing to it. It was like a little bit of salt, but not so much that like your fingers and toes start to swell up on you. You're like, that's pretty good. The next day you look down, your ankles are all swollen. You're like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm,
I seen that. I hadn't seen them before and everything, so I'll have to go look them up. That's cool.
yeah.
Well, out of the weekend, I know going in, you were like probably just a little bit not nervous, but like, hey, what's going on? Really checking all your checking everything, making sure everything was going to go good. Coming out of it, what would you say out of all of it that you feel like you could do better at just the championship for next year? What, a flow or what, man? What would you like to work on for next year?
It's a good problem to have, but if we had 10 to 20 more, we would have to set 2 30 target ranges. Doesn't necessarily have to be a 30 target. An idea that's been pitched is that we set 30 for the blue stake and back and let everybody go on that. And we set a 15 target range for the kids, yellow stakes and closer. So yellow, green, orange, I think 25 yards and under. Let the kids shoot it through 2 times would be a way to get the kids and the recurve people on their own range so they can go at their own different speeds, because kids are sometimes a little slower, recurve people are a little faster, and nobody else shoots under 25. So set a 30 and alleviate some space, and then not have to get behind the kids and kind of rush them, because we had some big groups of kids, and you always want to have the parents there too to be able to like come see the sport, take pictures, be with the family. So we don't want to ever rush anybody. There are time constraints to this game, especially on 30 targets. So it flowed really good because the spacing of the range was capable for that amount of people. But we just had so many groups of 4 and 5 that it's like we just ran out of stakes to put everybody on. So 240, 250 is when you have to start setting a second range. And, with the blessing of the gun club and Brad and Tara and out of Texas, it's like plan to grow, plan to get it. Like next year it's 250, hopefully 300. Like if next year is not 250, I'm going to resign just out of shame. And I turned my survey into the Western region that said what went good, what went bad, how many was at state. Will you be state director next year? Yes, no, undecided. And it's like, well, I'm undecided. I don't know if I did. I don't know if I did good enough to get my contract renewed or not. But I can say, and it's kind of early on this, and it's not what I'm about to say is not meant to be a competition between states, because that was a long time ago. That was a problem in the ASA, that they would try to make states compete with one another. And that's not what we're here to do. We're here to help each other grow and teach each other how to do this better. But Texas is usually number one in biggest state turnout. I think second place sometimes is Tennessee, and you got a lot of other southeastern states that do it. we beat Tennessee's numbers, right? Yeah, and I think we're number 2 in the nation, behind only Texas right now. We got another weekend of state championships next weekend. Like, I'm going to Arkansas. Shout out to Hunter Smith and the good people over there. I'm going to go to Arkansas, and we'll look at all the numbers afterwards. But we might have been number 2 in size in the federation, or I haven't seen any numbers that's higher than us yet. So
nice.
we might have
And
knocked it out of the park.
And congrats to you. Congrats to all the shooters, all the clubs, all the members. It flows down all the way. And I think what was just the most amazing thing is, I mean, Neil, you've done a wonderful job, a great job. But how in the heck did you pull off getting this great weather? Who do you know to order that? That was awesome.
I don't know,
July.
but the rain skirted over us. It knocked the heat down. The breeze came, and the mosquitoes weren't even bad. I didn't have any mosquito. I didn't even put bug spray on the second day. I didn't have a mosquito on me. Didn't find one tick. Nothing. Nada. It was pristine. The targets were great. The lanes were great. I tell people all the time, I can't take a compliment to save my life. If you want to see me squirm, just tell me something nice about myself. And I really don't think I had that much to do with it. The gun club people put on and had the facilities, and the organization had volunteers to park them in there. We had a shuttle that started immediately. Shout out to Lyndall, Wood, and Rhett for helping us run that shuttle, because as soon as parking backed up down there, we started shuttling them down. We got everybody flowed. It facilitated. I got Brad Timmerman up there. He looked at the acreage. I have been pestering him to have an AMAM there. Not in 2025. Hopefully, fingers crossed, 2026, we can expand the Paris AMAM thing into hopefully having one in the gun club. We get them to cut about 7 or 8 lanes with Brad Peculia. When he's down from Minnesota, he's running the dozer for the gun club. He's their coordinator, and he just a mastermind of an engineer that you just turn him loose with a skid steer, and then all of a sudden here's the main road, and here's 10 over here and 10 over here, and then I went across the creek and built the bridge and fixed the washout, and you just turn him loose, and you hope that you got trees left afterwards. He goes, yeah, I was going to start on the parking, but some of those trees were kind of good, so I figured I'd stop before we paved it all. Like,
wow.
Yeah. So you set yourself up with people that support you. And Brad and I had been talking. I mean, shout out to Brad. We talked at the end of the Triple Crown last year before I ever took this gig. And he's always complimented me. He's always, it's like, hey, what you're doing, I don't know how you do this all for archery with the podcast and the just talking to people. I'm like, it happens organically. I don't try to do anything that I wouldn't do. Just any, like, I don't know. You just, all the pieces are there. You just have to connect them. Like, I didn't bring anything to this year or add anything to it that wasn't already there. You just have to, you got to put some peer groups together that got some fun people in it and try to space them out on the range so it flows good, and throw some water out, and they do it on their own. I just can't, there's nothing I can point to and take credit for. Like, this is what I did good. Like, we communicated, we put the information out. When people came with questions, you answer. And I have this analogy that I've told people. They're like, how did you do this all year? I'm like, if somebody calls you with an archery question, how do I get this here? What class does my kid shoot? What can my bow have on it? They're 99% invested in coming, because people hate talking on the phone, especially if they don't know and they're like, I don't want to sound dumb. If they will approach you with a question, you're at the 1 yard line. That is 100% conversion, quarterback sneak right up the middle. I mean, it's a high percentage play. If you got it, it's like being hooked up to a fish. If you get a bite and it's a bass and you're worm fishing and you set that hook and your line goes sideways, you're putting a fish in the boat. Like, you're there. So it's just a numbers game to me. I don't see, I really just don't see how to quantify what went right, what went wrong. I mean, you just got to like people and like archery, and the people that shoot archery are my favorite people, so I'm nicer to them. I don't know. Like, I feel bad that people that don't shoot archery in my life, like, shout out to all of them. My mom, my dad, my wife, everybody that's supported me this year. Mom and dad came down and helped me run this tournament. The
Oh,
event, the
okay.
registration, the Genesis stuff, the hats, the T-shirts. Heather and Brian and Zane McSorley, some of the absolute best people I've ever met in my whole life, just made the registration run smooth, and everybody got their hats and everything like that, and everybody came and got decals and filled out the comments. So I just had so many good people surrounding me this year. That is what made it. I mean, I remember Heather told me she had a shirt making business. I was talking about the podcast T-shirts, and I just ordered this big box of them from somebody else. And she's like, well, when you run out, just let me know. I can make you this, make you that. And she showed me some options and played around with the graphic and was like, here, we can do it like this on the front for like a pocket patch. And then here's the back logo. And if you just tell people yes and figure out the details later, you're going to do a lot of like big stuff. It's not. It was the same thing with Dave. Dave's like, let's do the podcast. Let's start a podcast. I got the microphones. I got the software. I know how to upload them. And you just tell people yes and figure it out later.
Yeah.
No, it sounds like what's the Steve Carell movie? Yes Man? Or is it Jim Carrey? I don't remember.
I don't know either.
He has to say yes to everybody for like a full year or something. And that's been, I've lived that kind of mentality.
Well, all that, what would you say that you wouldn't want to do again? Well, all right, then. That covers it. I think you was happy with everything.
What would I not want to do? I don't want to shoot and leave. I want people to stick around. I want to
Okay.
I want to cook burgers and dogs, get in the shade, kick the boots off, and then we're going to have additional next year. This is a shout out to Doug and Cindy Miner. Thank you both for being on site, stepping in as a range official. They talk to literally everybody on the range. Hey, thanks for coming. What can we do good? What did you like? What did you not like? Helped me run awards, helped us with the checks. Shout out to Vaughn McLean for the giant checks. Those were a hit. I forgot to thank him, and I'm so sorry, Vaughn. Vaughn's been awesome this year as well. But Doug and Cindy Miner are talking to me about like after these qualifiers, we're going to have maybe, and I don't know, this is just an idea. Everybody put an extra $5 or $10 in the blind draw team shoot. We'll seed everybody from lowest to highest, and after we go like cool off and take a break and eat lunch, we'll go shoot team shoots, best arrow, 14s in play, head to head, bottom up, shoot up style. So whoever blind drew and is at the top shoots the least. Whoever's low dog shoots their way up through it. Winner takes home the money. It takes another hour. We could do it early in the season before it gets hot. Just something to make it more of a day than show up, drive 2 hours, shoot 20 arrows over 4 hours, go home, drive 2 more hours. Like that was 8 hours, but did you really see anybody but the 3 people in your group? Like, did you get to talk to Frank Welch or Carl or Keith or anybody that you haven't seen that lives across the state? So that would be the one thing I would change. We're going to try to have some novelty shoots or throw a bag out there and see who can come close to a dot at 80 yards. And it's kind of hokey stuff. It's carnival games, but I don't know. It just seems like we could do more with what's there. You're already there. You already drove. You already paid your money. You're already tired. You already used all the bug spray. So you might as well get as much as you can out. So it would just be more shooting, team shoot, kind of bragging rights thing.
Well,
I don't know.
cool.
Just little stuff like that on how to make it more fun for everybody. But if you have a bad day and you're done and you don't want to shoot anymore because you got the target panic back, yeah, you're excused. Go on home, go blind bail, come back next week. Shout out to Jason Marks, dude. Won my division, whooped everybody's butt. I don't know if he listens or not. He's not on social media, but he won our division and he struggled this year. He had the target panic so bad he couldn't put his pin near a target without sending that arrow. I think he blanked 2 or 3 targets at Connors, and he's told me all year long, he's like, dude, if you didn't make this as fun and awesome as you did, I would have went back to golf and quit. And he came out to state, and he's been shooting a lot better recently. Like we were neck and neck in Kansas, had to edged it out on him in the last 2 or 3 arrows, and he came back and got it right back in Oklahoma, beat me, beat Dustin Leader, beat Easton Gregg, knocked everybody off, and it was a 3-point race down to the end. So it was great. It was, I mean, seeing people come so far, and not just the kids and the young people and the new people, but Jason's been shooting his whole life. I mean, I've known him since I started shooting.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, seeing him start out the year terrible and come back and take the whole thing. That's what it's any dog on any day. That's what archery is. So
I was looking at the scores you had posted. I would say Mr. Lawson Vet rock and rolled it.
Lawson had a good day.
Yeah, he did.
He had to defend the homeland from that Kansas dude right underneath him, Devin. Devin's a crack shot, dude. He is amazing. He used to be down in 45 with us 2 years ago, and I'm like, man, get on up to 50, kid. Get on up there. So we had one of the Kansas pros is like, hey, you better make sure Lawson's there. Devin thinks he's going to come down there and roll, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Lawson said he's going to be there, but it was a 4-point race, so you got the best of the best, man. Those guys will be probably going pro in a year or two.
Yeah, that when I was scrolling through there, looking for all my buddies and everything, and I looked over at Lawson, I was like, golly, he rolled it.
Shout out to my buddy Joey Foote, my recurve shooting buddy I met at Oakland one time. I told him all about it, and then he went and shot the trad event, and I think he came in like 6th or something. He came out Saturday just to see what it was all about, and I got to talk to him for a second, waved at him. He's like, yeah, man, it'd be cool to shoot one. I was like, come back tomorrow and shoot a fun round. So his very first ASA ever was a state tournament, just on fun. You don't have to qualify to shoot a fun round. You know, we got room for you, so we put him with all the recurve people. I was like, yeah. He goes, yeah. I'm like,
wow, that's cool.
So we're +1. We're still adding new ones on the very last day of the season.
That's what it's about.
Yeah, buddy.
Didn't tell anybody no, once again.
Well, you just tell them when it is, tell them the details about it, and get them out there to see. And I mean, God bless them. If you're going to see one of them, make it a day where you got 120. Like that's we had bad weather qualifiers that we had 5 one day at Trosper, and we got rained on in Cherokee and had 7 one time. So yeah, that's not what you want. Hey, these guys are here shooting archery. Yeah, there's a few of them out there somewhere. That's not a good story. How many people are here shooting archery? Well, dang near more than we can have. Caps out 180 at 6 to a stake on 30. And I mean, we was at 120 on day 2. So yeah, we were just a little bit above what was comfortable for one range, but next year we'll have more ranges. They're already cutting them. They're already getting more targets. We're just going to plan on everything that went good this year was a trial run. We're going to do it better next year.
It sounds like it culminated to a great weekend. You had your ups and downs through the year. I remember the first one you had, and I remember Trosper when the weather hit, but everything kept rolling. You had a great year for ASA archery, for archery. Be it what it is, and that's because you didn't say no to the shot guys. You didn't say no to deermen. You didn't say it's not like you put an ASA hat on and buddy, it's got to be that or nothing. No, you've opened the arms, you've opened the eyes to other organizations even. It's like, look, let's work together. And I tell you what, I think it'll get you your big number next year. I sure hope so.
That it's just about work. Like talking about Bren has his NFAA stuff. Like shout out to Marcus Sukup, slaughtered him in K40 all year, broke his hand 3 days before the state tournament, still came back and won shooter of the year with a half a soft cast and one finger taped to his other finger. Like he went into the doctor and they tried to put a hard cast on it. He's like, hang on, let me go get my riser. I mean, I'm not kidding. He just texted me earlier. He was at the doctor. He goes, yeah, it's like a half a hard cast, but I think I could still shoot it. And I'm like, well, now that 3Ds, I mean, you tell them to go to the Classic, but sometimes they're not going to go to Alabama, So I was like, get your skinny air thing together. How about State 900? He's only got to be in the cast 4 weeks. That's 1st of September.
Oh, I love
August.
it.
Yeah. So getting the ASA guys out to come shoot the OSAA stuff for State 900, State Broadhead. Yes. Put your 3D bow together for the September 14th fun shoot / state banquet, and then ready to roll on for indoor season. I mean, he's probably never done any kind of those events, but I know he's going to do good at it because I've seen him shoot. So, you know, it's just one more thing like those Vegas jackpots that Brent started doing, man. You got so many killers that come every week because they know there's going to be good competition. And when you can stimulate practice under pressure, time on the line, that's where all the killers are. Iron sharpens iron, whatever expression you want to go by. If you cultivate good shooters in your shop and make it the hangout spot and keep putting on stuff, it's just going to get better and better. Speaking of people getting better and better, thank you to Austin McDowell, Austin was my finance chair committee this year. We were in the black, all budgetary, paid for everything. He was awesome on our banners, getting all of our sponsors hooked up with that exposure. So huge shout out to Austin McDowell. I absolutely could not have done this season without you. We didn't have a buckle fund. We didn't start with it, and we funded 55 buckles our first year and rolled a good chunk of them over to next year. So it just takes it, and I didn't even. I mean, we did this in nine months. We didn't even have a full year. We did all this on the fly. Like, that's what people don't understand. I was blowing Brad Timmerman's phone up, and after Coleman, I was like, I thought this was because I mean, full transparency and disclosure. I campaigned for this job. I begged for it. I wanted it for a year. I'm not gonna mix words about I wanted to do it. And people are like, why do you do it? I wanted to do it. It was supposed to happen. It was September goes by, October goes by, and then the schedule comes out and it's like, well, call me next year if you want me to look at it, I guess. And he's like, hang on, we're going to do it. So finally November rolls around and we get going on it. Like, man, it's going to be so much easier this year to do little stuff better because we have time now.
Yeah.
We have time we've got Ronnie Plummer and Brad Eulis and Greg Thompson. Thank you all to all three of you, and Dakota Hubbard and David Griffin, everybody else, Joey and Jackson Signs for helping me. We got a list right here. I didn't get to go over my list. That's the wrong list. How about that list? Oh my gosh. Yeah. David Griffin, Danny Novotny, Steve Wingo helping me. Travis Keith being there to help. Chris Edwards running the chrono. Mary Hoas from Trosper, Greg Thompson, Haskell for being there. We had so much help. We had people funneling people and making sure the flow was good. Super big shout out to Scott Langley. He was there for every bit of what happened at the gun club this weekend. He'd been behind the scenes for us a ton this year. So what did I say right before that? The little things better. We got Greg and Ronnie and Brad are going to go through because we're making a laminated trifold pamphlet for our parents and our young archers because we had some questions on some rules and some procedures and stuff you go from 99 or 80 or whatever we had last year to 220, you're going to have a lot of new people and new people have questions. So we're making a laminated trifold pamphlet of all our young archers with scoring diagrams, who holds the cards, how the group scores arrows, how to communicate with range officials, how breakdowns work, how the stake layout for the age group, what they can have on all the kids classes for Eagle or for starting with Junior Eagle, Eagle and Youth. We're going to have the specific rules for those classes. We're going to have diagrams. We're going to have some charts on it. And it's probably going to be laminated so it folds up and fits in a quiver, and maybe try to have like a little folder on the corner of it to put your scorecards in, like flip it over and use it as like a half a thing. I'm just spitballing, but I've got people that are going to put this together as a resource for our archery parents because we had a lot of parents on the range with our Eagles and Junior Eagles, and they're like, what happens when they can't figure out who to score? I'm like, well, the group goes thumbs up, thumbs down. You're not allowed to score for them. They have to come to a consensus, but you can help them hold the scorecards, but there's ways you can do it and ways you shouldn't do it. So we want to do our best to like connect the dots for what's already there. So I've got 3 or 4 people that are going to be helping me out on. They have actually kids that shoot. And so I'm asking them to help me. What are the issues? I'm going to illustrate the rules, highlight them, and then put my interpretation underneath there. Like, here's how the rule reads. This is what this means. This is what you can do. This is what you cannot do. This is why. They're going to have it all in front of them for being new, for a quick reference, so everybody can be on the same page. That's going to be huge for helping our young archers succeed and helping educate our parents at the same time, because they want to be involved. I just can't get to them all. So we got like a little committee going. If anybody wants to help out on that, it's our Youth Archers Advice FAQ pamphlet is what's
that is absolutely genius, brilliant. I love it. That can come in so handy any and everywhere you go. You got to bring them up. I mean, you got kids going to college, moving on. They're too busy. I mean, let's be real. Everybody has something in the next 5 years that's going to happen. Maybe they'll get to shoot 4 of the 5, but there's going to be 1 year. Then the next, you know what I'm saying? Something's going to filter in, filter out. There's going to be attrition. We know that.
Yeah.
Now, we just got to build up the numbers. And I love that, dude. That's starting at the beginning. And let's be real, the parents, hey, let's get them shooting too. That's right.
Yeah, that's what Haskell had. Bryn had a youth size bow from Okie Land, and then Haskell at Choctaw Archery had another one that he came over and he said, "Give these." He goes, "I'm gonna throw you a curveball," and I'm panicked at this point. He goes, "I'm gonna throw you a curveball." I'm like, "I'm not ready for a curveball, Haskell." He goes, Me and Bryn brought kids bows that you're going to do a special raffle just for the kids to put their tickets in, and then we got 2 more donated that were kids that were in attendance that did not shoot, either don't have a bow or didn't shoot, and they got a raffle ticket last minute, had a different colored raffle ticket just for the kids that were there, like siblings, little. I think we gave one away
Yes.
to, he might have been 3. He was napping during awards. I woke up, "Hey, you want a bow?" And he's like rubbing sleep out of his eyes, and he's like 2 foot tall, just barely walking. So we got to give him one, and Rhett Woods, I think, won the youth model Darton. So we had more bows to give away than anything else.
Yeah.
It was insane. It was insane. And I tried to go through it as quick as I could. I had kids drawing raffle tickets, and every time we had a big consolidation bucket. A lot of questions on the raffle stuff. It was new this year. We tried our best to wing it. It was very discombobulated, if I had to put an adjective to it. So every time we would draw for a specific bow, or the winner ticket would go out, and we would put all the losers back in the general door prize drawing thing. So we were having kids drawing tickets. I'm like, had a lot of blank ones in there. I'm like, you got to put your name on those, man. So we'd have kids drawing. I'm like, "Can you read that?" No. And I'd sit there and squint at it in real time. We were calling them 6 and 7 at a time. It was great.
Yep.
It was
Yeah.
fantastic. So
It sounds like it. It sounds like it. Well, Neil, I'd say, what do you got going next weekend? But I think that's obvious, isn't it?
yeah, we're going to Arkansas State. Going to buy some used targets off a buddy. If anybody wants used good shape Delta McKenzie's, holler at me. I'm going to come home with, I think, 10 of those. So you never know. After you shoot that bad, you got.
What are you going to put them in that closet? I mean, come on, dude. You got air sitting everywhere.
I'll throw them in the backyard. I'll drag them out to Trosper and shoot them till the homeless people run me off. I got practice, man. I sold all my targets off to different people, and I ain't got no targets to shoot. So we'll have to do something about that. But yeah, let's. I don't know. A lot of stuff planning, trying to get this meeting going. I've got the buckles ordered. I've got the plaques ordered.
Where's your meeting going to be at?
Hopefully in Enid. Brian Moorhead, if you're out there and alive, text me back, call me back, send me back smoke signals. He just went on vacation, but I didn't hear from him. So we're hoping at the Autry Tech Center, Enid, America, 1201 West Willow Street, if I remember correctly. Why do I have that memory? What?
What days are going to be on?
September 14th. There'll be a fun shoot both days, 14th and 15th. Our meeting / banquet will be the 14th. So, yeah, it was good. We're going to get everybody on the same page. I was going to go over rule changes, but what I'm told from the Western Region Director is that rule changes won't come out till December. So We'll use it as a fun shoot. We'll talk about dates. We'll talk about getting renewed, and we'll have a 10-member sheet for every range from this year and all our confirmed new ranges next year, so they can fill up their 10-member state renewal applications. You have to have 10 members. There was 100 man hours this year spent getting 10 members to all these new clubs. We did it one at a time on the fly as they came in, and it was awesomely a nightmare. Positively terrible is how that went. So we're going to have them all go in this year at the state meeting and pre-sign up for different ranges. So when January 1st rolls around and all our clubs can go renew, we're going to have them their 10, so that when they do that, they're not looking for bodies. So we're going to help we're going to help allocate them just a little bit more.
Cool. Thinking ahead, helping them.
Well, yeah, just because, Texas gives their dates out. You just can't, you got to renew at some point, and then that's January 1st that becomes effective. Those dates can become in pin, but we're going to hold them for 10 days, and we're going to have 3 months to plan and optimize the schedule for the most shooting per least amount of driving possible. Biggest thing I would say is I have a copy of the comment card. So if anybody filled out the comment card, I'm super appreciative of that. Here's what we asked them on the comment card, and I tallied all the votes up and went cross-eyed trying to do it. So this kind of might be a boring segment. Y'all fast forward 5 minutes if you don't care what people think about the ASA.
What's funny is you firmly believe it was only going to take 5 minutes, but go ahead.
Yeah. Jack Simmons, shout out to Jack for putting that awesome hype video out where I desperately tried to explain every attraction at this carnival that we put on. He did that for us and put all the drone footage up and turned that around in one day, in a single day. So we tried our best, but that just came out awesome. So I know we threw a lot of new things at y'all this year. That's gonna not change. There's gonna be more new stuff every year, because that's just kind of how this keeps growing. We need new people. Pretty much an even split on shooter of the year preference between the current system and Texas's format. We had pretty even votes there. We had 5 people vote for the national format, where it's 50 participation points, 5, 3, and 1, which is half of the thing we use now, and 1 vote for Arkansas, which was my personal favorite. So if I got a vote, which I didn't vote on it, I'd have picked Arkansas's as well. So we'll settle between Oklahoma's and Texas's shooter of the year for next year. A lot of people didn't like the bonus show up points that we kept running all year long. I can personally tell you that those were a hassle to keep up with. So I would like to use next year either the Texas or the Arkansas versions of shooter of the year. It's a lot easier to track. It's a lot cleaner, and it keeps people in it without the races being blowouts. So that was what you asked me earlier, Dave. If I could do one thing differently this year, it would have been shooter of the year, because when you give them points for winning plus their best 6 scores in state, the winners get to kind of get out ahead, and the lead dog just outran the pack. And 7 or 8 out of the 9 classes that qualified were complete blowouts by the time state did. So I definitely, tried my best to come up with something on the fly, and it was something that was meant to incentivize people coming out to these new ranges, all out in the corners of middle of nowhere. So we had to incentivize them somehow to, there we go, plug my computer in. We had to incentivize them to go, so they got some extra points for showing up. And a lot of people on the comments, a common theme was that they didn't like that. So we're going to get away. We're going to get away from the show up points. It just depends on how many qualifiers we have and what the minimum number is. Texas uses the best 5. That's a lot of them. Arkansas uses a pole position. So 20 people in your class, you get 20. Second place gets 19. All the way down to last place gets 1. So the benefit there is your huge scores. Like if somebody beats me by 20 points, but I was second place, in shooter of the year, they're only 1 point ahead. So we both have to keep showing up and going. And it doesn't matter if the range is soft or the range is hard. It equalizes out. The Texas one doesn't account for some ranges being soft, but Brad and Tara run it so well that they have a rubric that puts all the ranges in an app on a lane by lane, stake by stake basis, and that's the recipe, and they run it. So mathematically, most of them are the same distances. It's just conditions like sunlight, wind, heat, slope, stuff like that is your variance, but your ranges average out to something very clean. I don't know that we have as much hands-on with our ranges as they're set. I think it's the artist's canvas, and I just show up and shoot it, and I appreciate every target on every lane. Probably say a few cuss words and swear a little bit when I shoot a nickel or an 8, but it was a good set either way. I didn't make the shot. So, yeah, there's pros and cons to each system. Y'all, shooter of the year will change in Oklahoma. We will do the best to communicate that, but I'm going to make it much, much, much more simple. It would be the biggest thing I could say.
Yeah, and keep the Facebook page going. That looked like that went well this year. I didn't see anybody really trying to throw knives at anybody there. That looked like that stayed civil and clean. And so, yeah, there was a lot of good, no doubt about it.
We didn't have any blow-ups on the internet or in person this year. It was good. Appreciate everybody keeping their cool and keeping their composure. It was a long season, plenty of opportunities to have a day, but nobody went home mad. Here's the votes. You want to count the votes and what we asked them? This is exciting. This is Dave's specialty in consumer feedback and information. Would you like to see more or less shoots? 35 votes for yes, 2 for less. Or I'm sorry, 35 votes for more, 2 for less, and 2 for same. And then somebody wrote yes and circled it. So I don't know who was out there. Well, you want to see more or less? Please circle one. And they wrote yes and circled it. So, okay.
Good.
I don't know how to count that. Is it okay to have more than one qualifier on the same weekend? 30, 16 no. So double booking qualifiers, double the support. I asked them, do you feel like we asked you for money too often? It was unanimously no. So the carnival attractions, the Genesis bows, the raffle tickets, the giveaways and all the stuff, I guess didn't run anybody off. And that was one of my biggest fears, that we were going to try to nickel and dime them to death at the ASA. And it's like, we're just trying to raise money for our buckles. It's a new program. We're just getting it started. We got to raise money somehow. So nobody was offended by that. I was a big highlight of the year. Would you support a club for doing a 1-day qualifier? 37 yeses and 8 nos. So some clubs might want to do a Saturday or Sunday only. We asked them what day they would prefer. Sunday was 9 votes and Saturday was 30 votes. So Saturday be the bigger day. So would you support a club doing a Friday option? This is meant for a qualifier, but in state too, if we keep growing, that's on the table. We had 37 yeses and 11 nos, so Friday option was supported. Did you like the switch in June to the 9 a.m. start? We had 2 nos and 46 yeses, so that was a pretty good one too. And would you like to see an early and late start time for qualifiers? We had 36 yeses and 12 nos.
Okay.
So those are the numbers.
Great feedback.
Thank you to everybody I want y'all to know I read every one of them. My favorite comment was, what do you want to see less of on the qualifier trail this year? What did you not like? And they said Neil's face.
And that was that's right. Hold on. Let's get this in there. Oh, wrong one.
There you go.
Oh, Chet. I almost removed you. I did. I almost clicked you. Oh, well, so much for sophistication. and just out of curiosity, who filled that out? Your dad?
I don't know if it was Scott Shields or Steve Wingo, but we're going to figure it out.
Can we guess?
Steve said he didn't fill one out, and I think I saw Scott's handwriting on a different one. So somebody else. It's funny, you read these things and you can almost hear their voice in it, and I'm just like, there's about 6 or 8 of them that I know exactly who it was because of how they wrote it. Just hilarious to me. And we had my mom and dad and I sat there and read them all Saturday night, and they helped me tally the votes so I could read them and they could check them. And we had more fun reading the comments than anything. And so Brad and Tara and Aaron and Mary, they've all done it for years and years. They say, whatever you do, don't go read the comments for, weeks. Let it sit. Take a break. And I got done Saturday and was like, well, I better tally these all up because there's going to be more tomorrow. That'll be fun.
No rest for the wicked.
Just little things.
Well, cool.
Little things that are like just paying off dividends.
Your state's over with, the championship's done, you've got scheduling, you've got everything finalized like that, you got your paperwork in. Go and enjoy Coleman. Just go shoot it. Yeah.
It's one of those that I have to go to be at the directors meeting. So it's like I'm going there with a purpose and not, I want to win every archery tournament I ever go to, but let's be honest, sometimes it's just not your day. But yeah, I might strut in there like a banny rooster. I don't know what block they have the office in Kennesaw, Georgia on, but I want to make sure that all the fine people there running this fantastic organization can see my statue out there on the lawn.
That's right. Look like the Metropolis Superman one.
Something like that, but goofier and holding the Hoyt, preferably. I don't know.
There you go.
I don't know. I want to do a lot of big things for them, and I tell them every time I'll email them, like, we had to pick up our plaques, and I'm like, hey, let me know if you need help. I'll be on site. And she's like, that's sweet. Just stay out of the way. Like, I don't know, but you need to take and look from these big organizations that put these pro-ams on. Like, yeah, we set 20 and 30 target ranges. They set 20 or 30 ranges at these. So if you can get in there and see how they load them in and see how they coordinate this kind of thing, it's like everybody gets better. Like, these guys that set those ranges, you wouldn't believe how fast they put them up and how clean they look. Like, it's there's an art to it. And I've seen the shot guys do the same thing, and they're like really planning out the look and the angle and the incline, and just there's so much that goes into it that if you never set one, you wouldn't know what to look for. But trying to throw the yardage judgers off and taking the ground from them and using the inclines, and it's kind of devious,
Looking at the way they think.
Yeah, you're not kidding. It's just, I don't know. It was such a crazy 2 days that I was running around trying to range official half the time and run the registration building up the hill at the same time. So sorry to anybody out there that caught me from going to one place to the other. I didn't have a lot of time for anybody. I hope I wasn't short with anybody. I had some people ask me questions, and I had literally 2 or 3, 4 people that were like, "What do you need?" And I'm like, "Stay with me. If I get sidetracked, you got to talk to that person because I can't stop." And they're like, "Just tell them." They're like, I was like, "If you don't know the answer to whatever they're asking, tell them I'm sorry. I don't have time. I didn't mean to run off and be rude, but I had to move so many different pieces and things. So I didn't get to chit chat with people as much. I hope nobody took offense to that or thought I was being short, but I was just getting pulled in several directions at one time. So it was
rather doubt if anybody would have gotten short with you. Yeah.
It was fun. It was a good weekend minus the bow shooting part of it for me personally. But yeah, we had a good group. Got to watch. I had to put myself in the group with Dustin because we were peer grouping down for shooter of the year, and had my buddy Trenton Cooper come down because he won Kansas last year, and then Easton won Texas the same last weekend. So we had Kansas and Texas as state champs with our 2 leading shooter of the years in K45. So we just went out there and had a day. I mean,
that's
and
cool.
We had our area rep, Chris Hammond. Shout out to Chris for coming and being our range official Sunday. He came and shot it Saturday. He was one of our pros, and I really want to thank Ryan and Chad Hilburn and Colby Crooks and Scott Hamlin for, even though it's a fun shoot for you guys, it's so cool to have the kids see you, have the parents are like, that guy's a pro archer. And it's like, yeah, actually all of those guys in that group are pro archers. And they don't know that they even come to stuff like this. And they're just like, isn't he like on tour right now? I'm like, well, the big one's 2 weeks out, but yeah, he just came back 2 weeks from one, and he'll be there, next month. And it's just, it does so much for the the general morale of archery to be like, yeah, we had half a dozen pros turn in cards at our state. So even though they have to technically be fun rounds, it's like, man, that's special to some of those kids. You don't know how big an influence that is.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely awesome. That is awesome.
Give me just a second here.
You betcha. While you're off doing that, we're going to get into indoor. No, you left that door open for me. Knocking them out while I can.
Trying to see if our special guest is going to pop up.
Mine texted and said no.
Well, that's
busy.
Well, it's hunting season.
Yeah.
Got us. They're trying to lure us in a special guest appearance, y'all. We don't do them live, so we just kind of at the mercy of scheduling. But I know I sent him the link, so we'll see if he pops in or not. So what else we got? What's Dave doing to the indoor bow?
Man, I tell you what, I have racked my brain, done stuff. We don't need to talk about indoors. This is 3D season. I've been tinkering and fine tuning, and honestly, I really feel like I'm learning more about my own shooting than what I'm learning about the equipment. It's crazy where you think you're at this certain level, and it's doing good, and then something just clicks, and man, you feel like you can step up again. So it's really crazy. I'm really fine tuning so much. Uh, I sent you a big old long text today of a stupid move I'm making, and I did, and I think I like it. I think I like it. I don't see any negative on it yet. So yeah, here I am with a. I'm shooting the shortest draw length I think I've ever shot in recent years. I'm talking last 10 years. I am I'm just right at 32 and 3/4. That is actually the shortest I have shot in a long, long time. And I tried to take it a little shorter, and it bit me. I didn't like it. Um, and what I'm trying to do is get less arrow on my bow. Um, and I listened to the Hammer, the big guy, and he made a comment over the weekend that he's got a big long overdraw and need to get your arrows down shorter. And here we are, we're these big long draws, and it's hard to do. Um, so I grabbed my rest and I pushed it way back. It. I've always been one that I wanted the rest just right over my wrist, and I've got it way back compared to that now. I've got my arrow down. If you used to put it on an actual cut, it's just under 29 inches. It's like 28 and 3/4 or something. I forget exactly what it is. But wow, that's the shortest arrow I've been able to shoot ever. I can't imagine one being and shoot like that. Increased tip weight. I'm up on my tip weight, and dude, that's driving. I love it. So I just need to continue spending time on the line with this equipment, and just that. Just need to spend more time on the line. I think I could learn that much more.
Man, it's about that time. It's
Yeah, it
about
is. It is.
about that time. I'm switching over my purple sight onto my purple Stratos with now it's got white limbs, and it was going to be my 3D bow, but I like the green one so much that my my veins from last year I switched from green to purple, and it's like, but those strings wound up on a different bow, so now I got to switch sights and set it up for 27 so it matches. That's
Yeah.
terrible. It's terrible, but I liked a little bit more pull on it based on how it was letting my hinge go off, and just
Yeah.
kind of it's constantly evolving. So got to set the skinny arrow bow up. Got to set the 27s bow up. I just
I'll leave my outdoor bow as is. I've got 23 set up on it. That's as outdoor as I'm going to get. I'll shoot the 900 with those. It'll be what it'll be. It doesn't matter
sounds
to
like
me.
sounds
Yeah.
like a good plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, well, pretty much all we got, isn't it?
That's all I've got, bud. No chance on your guest.
Oh, I texted him. We could kill a little time. Let's do some more thank yous. Thanks
All
to
right.
Hazel
Well,
Torres.
I'll start out. I
Yeah,
want to say thank you to you, to everybody that listens. In all honesty, this podcast has been fun this year. I think getting to skirt along the skirts of the ASA is part of it. I enjoy listening. There's been guests on here that some of them been the first time I'd met them, but I got to engage with them because we had archery in common.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and you wouldn't know that, but yeah, I have really enjoyed bringing in the 3D shooters because I've been out of that game for so long. I just want to say thanks to all them.
I liked the last episode just because it was such a change of pace with the Olympic recurve stuff coming up. A shout out. This is the 22nd of July. When this comes out, it'll probably be the 23rd. That'll be 2 days away from qualification rounds on the 25th, and coverage starts on the 28th. So this will be the last chance we have to remind you to watch our USA Olympians represent our country.
Yes.
So everybody do that. Let's have a little bit of enthusiasm for archery in the Olympics, because if you take it for granted, it just does. You gotta promote it, even if it's not your favorite kind of archery. Like,
Yeah, and there's so much to that. The U.S. Olympic Committee, the World Olympic Committee, all those folks look at how many people are watching. in the countries to allow world championships to come to those countries, just to make sure that there's going to be a spectator part of it. So even if you don't care about it, click it, walk away, and just let it play. We need the views on it.
Yeah, that's what I tell
So
people all the time. They got kids. I'm like, just put my podcast on. Let them go sleep. Lull them.
that's right.
They'll be so bored. They'll be sleeping good.
That's
So
right.
yeah, it gets the plays up. I'll
So
manipulate the algorithm. But a couple other door prize people I want to thank. Hazel Torres at Reese Precisions gave us a bunch of the micro adjust needles to leave out as a door prize. So anybody had an Excel site, you can make the adjustable Rolo needle for um, moving your indicator pin up and down. Those are super handy. Those were a huge hit. I want to shout out Hazel. He's a fantastic guy to do business with. His company's name is Reese Precision, and he makes all these little gizmos and gadgets that just kind of make archery better and easier, like just more fun. Really, is kind of it just makes it easier to. He's got little dial up degree adjustments for when you adjust your Bitzenberger. You can take a picture of it and see how many degrees off you are on top and bottom both. Like that's just it's handy. It's handy to know.
yeah.
Shout out again to the Shot guys for all that they hooked us up with 3-day passes for their 2025 schedule. We had sets of strings from Wizard Labs, DNA Custom, and Twisted X. So shout out to Jason Bowling, Danielle Pekowski out of Florida, and Shane Teal right out of Oklahoma here. So we gave away sets of strings and new bows. One kid won a bow and a new set of strings. I mean, got a new bow, and I was like, well, nobody shoots custom strings. You don't give a toy without batteries. We got to give the kid a set of custom strings. So he's got a brand new dart and a set of Twisted X strings to go on it. So it was
Yep.
and he was our Eagle Open Boys state champion. And I think state shooter of the year too. So shout out to Rhett Wood. I mean, kid put on a clinic. Who else did we have? We had yearly memberships from Trosper and Tulsa Archery, and had a target donated from Mark's 3D, and we had a Undead Fred zombie target donated from the gun club. So we had, I saw a little it was Mackenzie Loudon had won the zombie, and their family gave shout out to the Loudons for all those hats this year. That was a huge part of our fundraising. I think they donated like between 8 and 10 dozen hats that everybody's. I mean, we still got them if anybody wants them. They're taking up room in my house right now, but they were absolutely awesome. So this little girl had won this zombie target, and she takes a picture of it with her ASA hat on the target. I was like, this is media marketing gold. It just turned out to be such a good year that more of the comment cards than anyone said, thank you for having it centrally located, and thank you for having it at somewhere with a facility, because the building went over good getting on the we can getting in the building and getting out of the heat. If it would have got hot or anything like that, it was just a good place to do it. So looks like both of our special guests this episode bailed out on us.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's all right.
I'm gonna relay a message from our good buddy Chris Hammond, who was raffling off a Matthews lift to support one of our archery family members, and the winner of the lift raffle, the Matthews lift raffle from Chris Hammond, is Casey Weston from Montgomery, Alabama. And Chris just did the video, so we're going to go try to circulate that. So congrats to Casey Weston, Casey Weston from Montgomery, Alabama on that. And thank you to Chris Hammond for, being there, not only as our range official, but he's an incredibly charitable guy. He's always looking out to do the right thing, just anywhere he can see something that needs to be he leaves it better than he found it. And a lot of people don't know, he's our Oklahoma area rep from the South. So even though he's kind of centrally located, he is one of our area reps. So he does a lot of stuff behind the scenes and helps some of these ranges out that y'all don't necessarily see. And he doesn't get nearly the credit that he deserves for some of that. So shout out to my buddy Chris. He takes my phone calls all the time. Walks me through he can diagnose kind of what I need to do with my bow over the phone sometimes. Dave's like a hands-on kind of, well, let's do this and do that and see what it does. And Chris is like, here, 2 ounces on the back and 3 more on the front, and about where you need it to be. Roll it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, Neil, let's roll out of here, buddy. It's been a long one. I appreciate it. Thank you. And congratulations to you and your whole ASA team.
It's gonna be a good year next year. We got a high bar to set. We got a high bar to beat. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at making it better. And everybody, I just thank you all again for especially the Hall of Fame nominations. A lot of people that got nominated were already actually in the Western Region Hall of Fame. So I got to. We keep it all anonymous, so you can nominate whoever. We'll have a form out on the website that's getting. Oh yeah, the website's getting ready to go live, and remind me to go look at what the name of that is. I think it's asaoklahoma.com. I'm not sure what it is. Some guy's working on it. Shout out to Chris Love from up around Broken Arrow. He's been helping us out a whole bunch. So we're going to have somewhere to share all this information for those of you that aren't on Facebook. That's another huge thing. But yeah, we did read every one of the comment cards. We read every single one of them. We counted all your votes, and we're going to try to make next year just a little bit better.
Cool. Sounds awesome, buddy. Get on the line and shoot, man. I know it's what I need to do.
Yeah, buddy.
Bye.